Hello everyone, today I'd like to talk about the class systems in Romance of Three Kingdoms XIII expansion. Now, there are 6 major classes: the Warrior, General, Merchant, Adventurer, Minister, and Strategist. Now, each of these classes are separated into 2 major branches, and these will also determine what type of ending you'll get. Now, eventually these branches will lead to their own final forms, so in the interest of saving time, I'll only talk about the skills in the final forms, because they carry over skills from the previous classes. Only improved, of course. Now, for certain generals, like yours truly, we have our own special final form, in which case mine is called Battle God, which replaces the Master 10,000 that used to be in that spot. It seems that the difference, though, is mainly just the ruler command and a fancy title. Otherwise, it's the exact same thing as the title that it replaces. Now, let's talk about the Battle God or the Master 10,000 skills. Now, the first skill you have is Training. It's a strong training. It allows you to increase your leadership and might along with another officer, and increases your rapport with them. It's a big increase, so keep that in mind. Second, it's a ability for you to challenge someone to a duel in a battlefield, using up 5 commands. This is an exceedingly powerful command because you can use it on anyone, 100%. So, say you're Lü Bu, you use this on Zhuge Liang, you will kill him, and then he'll disappear. So it's a very powerful skill. Third is 1 versus 1,000. This skill allows you to negate an enemy's pincer attack on you. So when you get pincered, you lose morale and you take more damage, and gradually you get worn down. Well, with this, you won't suffer that. It also causes you to do extra pincer attack damage to an enemy. So this is a very powerful skill as well. And then finally, you have Flash Strike. This skill allows you to do extra damage on an enemy when you begin a duel. So if you have more ward than enemy, your first blow will do an extra chunk of damage. So if that's any incentive to raise your war, well, there it is. Second, we have the Master Trainer class. This one allows you to train a multitude of officers and raises their war. This also increases your rapport with them. Second, and this is pretty powerful too, this is a training that increases your leadership and might, your own personal leadership and might, by a moderate amount, and also increases all the city's troop type, so spears, bows, and cavalry. You train them all along with yourself. Very powerful. And this instruction allows you to sacrifice a year's pay to gain a special permission. Special permissions are very useful because they allow you to direct your course of your army. So this is a very powerful skill, but only if you're not the ruler. And then finally, there's Flash Strike, which is the same thing as the one that you get in the Master 10,000's tree. It also allows you to do extra damage during a duel. Then we have Fierce Tiger. This has a moderate training that you have compared to the stronger training that Battle God or Master 10,000 has. So it still trains you a little, but not as high as an effect. And then there is the Train Personal Troop command. Now, Personal Troop for a ruler or officer class is very overpowered because it allows them to basically deploy trained troops from anywhere on the map. Now, this is very, very powerful, and it's only for general or this specific sub-branch of the warrior class. So keep that in mind. Personal troops is very powerful. It allows you to use very powerful troops. Then there is the hunting contest, which this class has for its own. And this allows you to go to camps and train your might, and also receive a moderate amount of gold and personal troops. Again, very powerful, allows you to recruit and train at the same time. And finally, they have Berserk, which increases their might which increases their army's personal might by a massive amount. So basically, when you lead an army, right, you have different units. Say you have up to 10 units. Only your specific unit will gain a massive increase in attack and a defense decrease by a little tiny bit. So keep that in mind. It's for your personal use. whichever army that your general is located, your playable character is located in. Then there is Demon God. They have also the basic training, and they have their own specialized training, which increases the food that they have, and also increase their battle tactics. Now, battle tactics are stuff that you use on the battlefield, like spear ambush or poison traps or trap holes, stuff like that. It increases their levels so they're more effective. Normally, you have to use them on the battlefield to gain levels with them. Well, in this case, you can train and get levels for them as well. This is something that only strategists had, and this class has, so it's pretty useful. And then there is the ability for you to increase your power based on your morale. So when your morale is very high, you know how it blinks? Well, normally people gain extra stats with them. For this class, you gain an even bigger boost, and I don't know what it means by special extra giant boost, but I guess it's really, really big. We'll see what happens. I haven't played this class yet. And then finally, premeditation. This allows you to gain a morale boost when you're camping or when you're in battles. So this is also very handy and works hand in hand with this ability to turn you into a fucking juggernaut on the battlefield. And then finally, there is Iron Might. Now this also has the basic training, and this has the ability to train and increase your food by a massive chunk and train your, I don't know what this is. It just says training. I'm guessing it could be either training for your troops or your battle tactics. It just says training on this description, so it doesn't really help much. And finally, it also increases your might when you're high on morale. It also appears that these two are based on whichever with the army that your playable character is in, so keep that in mind as well. This one is not as strong as Demon God, but it's still pretty big. And then finally, they have this ability to allow them to capture a camp quicker and also move faster. And whenever they become the first one inside of a castle, their morale boost will increase as well, which works hand in hand with this ability as well. And that's the warrior tree. Next up is the general's tree, which I've explained to you before. They specialize in managing their personal troops, and personal troops is very powerful because you can deploy them wherever you please, and they also carry over their training. Most importantly about personal troops is that you can raise them because you can recruit them at any time you want. So Flying General, the first one, allows you to recruit a moderate amount of personal troops and also train them moderately. Then they have this special ability which allows them to train all troop types in a city by a massive chunk. And finally, their final ability allows them to move quickly on the world map and also reduce the amount of morale loss that they have when they're traveling. So Flying General flies all over the map and spreads their might. It's a very useful skill. Second, we have the Honorable General, and the Honorable General allows him to recruit by a massive chunk. It also allows him to train personal troops by a moderate amount. Then there's special abilities, which I didn't mention before. Special abilities unique to each class has a star next to it. Their special ability allows them to increase a city's public order and raises all troop types training by a moderate amount. Very useful skill because when you recruit personal troops, the public order in a city goes down. So with this, you can raise it back up. Then finally, there's special ability, which allows them to gather volunteers. What this does is allows them to recruit in the city and increase the personal troops in a city. And the city only loses a little bit of public order. This is extremely powerful because normally you can't recruit in cities. You have to wait for the numbers to slowly go up. In this case, you not only increase the number of army in a special city, but you also increase your own personal troop. This is a very overpowered skill. So keep that in mind because working with your personal troops and the official troops is key to overwhelming the enemy. And third, we have Famous General. Now, this I think also is the title that Yuan Shao shares, but that's just guessing on my part. I haven't played Yuan Shao yet because he's really powerful for the most part. Anyway, so he has the ability to recruit a big chunk of personal troops and also train personal troops by a big chunk as well. Then their special ability is Personal Army, which when you march out with your personal troops, not only do you buff your battle tactics, but you also increase your troops' personal strength. This is very, very powerful. And then the final ability allows them to increase the number of personal troops that they can have. So normally you can only have up to 50,000 personal troops. Well, now you can have more. I don't know how much more. Could be double, like 100k, but I wouldn't be surprised. When I get a chance, I'll have to definitely test it out, but the general tree is very powerful for war. Anyway, then there is the Intelligent General. This one is shared with Cao Cao's personal tree as well. I've known this because I saw Cao Cao's tree. And basically, this allows you to recruit personal troops by a moderate amount. It also allows you to train your personal troops by a moderate amount. But your special abilities allow you to increase your personal battle tactics by a massive chunk. Massive chunk. Like really, really big. As I've explained to you before, normally you can only train your battle tactics in battle as you do battle. But, well, now you can go home and just train and become extremely powerful. And finally, this allows you to increase your battle tactics and increase your army's battle tactics level by 1. So not only are they stronger, but they also gain an extra level, which makes them even stronger. So this general tree is all about using tactics and being able to use personal troops. Very powerful. And then finally, we have Steel Juggernaut. Now this one allows you to recruit personal troops on moderate amount, train moderate amount, and then this personal skill allows you to repair a city's defenses and also reduce the amount of payment that you have to pay to increase a defense of a city. So with this setup, you can basically just camp out for a while and repair your city as the enemy is attacking it. So you could really hold out until an enemy shows up, until your reinforcement shows up. Very useful skill. I believe Cao Ren probably has this ability. And then finally, their final ability allows you to increase your power when you're in a camp, and also when you begin a battle, you start with more morale. So when you fight on the camp, normally you already have the advantage. Now you have an even greater advantage. Anyway, time for the next. Next we have the merchant trees. I'll just talk about the white dragon and black dragon. So for merchants, they share pretty much the first 5, which allows them to sell treasures for an increased amount, like a really exuberant amount. So normally a treasure would be worth like $1,000, you can sell for $5,000. Then there's this ability which allows you to collect treasures. So you can send your officers or yourself to go to various places and collect treasures. You can bring back a lot, I'll have you know. And then there's this, which allows you to increase the amount of commerce that you can gain from your home, your market. So when your commerce is high, you get more money from selling your treasures and probably other things too, like this 4th option, which allows you to buy and sell food. So you can probably sell food for even more than you can already do, and probably buy them for cheaper. And then there's investment. So what merchant can do with different factions is that they can invest by giving them officers, by paying them a chunk of money to their forces. And when you do that, this increases their army's strength, their training, their food, and their public order. It's a really powerful buff for an entire army. And an army that you've invested on, if they have success on the battlefield, will pay you back even more money that you have paid into the army itself. So merchant is a very fun class to play when it comes to these kinds of things. Now, here comes White Dragon's personal skill. So White Dragon's personal skill allows you to cause alliances to happen. So you can basically tell a faction, say, oh, Cao Cao, alright, you can convince him to go and ally with Liu Bei. So once you do that, they won't fight each other, and Cao Cao can focus on other weaker fools and crush them, and then your payment will increase. Very handy skill. Now Black Dragon is the same thing, except now Black Dragon has 2 special abilities that comes at the end. So they have the ability to control a faction, which allows them to surrender, or I think another faction to surrender as well. So basically put, you're playing as Cao Cao, and then you want Liu Bei to surrender. He surrenders to him, and now he's a lot stronger, and now he can crush Sun Ce. So basically put, it allows you to get a lot more income from your investment as well. And then you can also cause, as Black Dragon, you can also cause a faction to give up one of their officers and send them away to exile. And then you can recruit them. So it's a very powerful ability. I believe Black Dragon is much more fun because, well, causing people to surrender and giving up officers to you is very fun. But you can see the merit in White Dragon as well, because allying, as you've seen in the Yuan Shu campaign, is extremely powerful. It pretty much allows you to do whatever the hell you want. So that's the Merchant Tree. And the Merchant Tree also has one additional thing. They have their own special ending, which they gain when they have 500,000k gold. So, or not 500, right? 500,000k. So just 500,000 or 500k gold. So when you have 500k gold, you automatically get a choice. Rather you want to end the game with an ending or not. If you decide not to, you can use this gold for your own nefarious deeds. You can probably have a really strong head start with the other classes. So that's the Merchant Tree. Next with the Adventure Tree. Now the Adventure Tree is like this. These 3 options, Traveling Hero, Wandering Vagabond, and Bandit King, they all don't have their own endings. So, as in, when you reach those classes, well, you don't win the game, no matter what you do. You have to join a faction in order to win a game. Otherwise, what ends up happening is, you could still get an ending, but you won't necessarily win. So, when an ending occurs, say a faction has conquered a map, you'll get an ending, but it's not you winning. And the class is not involved with the ending as well, as I've seen when I was trying out the Bandit King class, and I allowed my daughter to win the map as when I'm just retired and become Bandit King again. So that's how it is. So keep that in mind with these 3 classes. They don't really have much of a future. So Traveling Hero. This allows them to recruit a good chunk of personal troops. Now, again, personal troops is handy, but this is only for personal usage, so only for these classes. But for general classes or the specialized Fierce Tiger class, the personal troops combined with the national troops is very overpowered. With this, you have your own troops, but the most you can do is capture a territory and render it blank. And then you can go in and start your own faction if you like, but again, these classes have no future. Anyway, so their second ability allows them to go to a faction and recruit an officer, and then you'll not only cause them to be exiled, but you'll also cause them to become your friend. And after they become your friend, you can just go and drag them into your list, and then you'll immediately have them as your follower. And then the third ability is Ceasefire. So you can cause two factions to have a ceasefire. Now, I don't know what this is good for, except maybe to keep officers, I guess, inside their cities. If they're not fighting, it allows you to go inside the city and use this ability and cause them to lose officers for you to recruit. And then this allows you to gain 3 extra companions. So as you can see, the Heroic Traveler is all about gaining a lot of companions and then eventually settling down with a faction or creating their own faction. Then they have the ability to patrol, which increase the city's public order. So when you recruit, when your public order goes down, you can raise it back up. Then there is training underlings. This allows you to train one specific type of troop type in your personal army and increase it by a moderate amount. Then there's the Wandering Vagabond, which allows you to increase your recruitment by an extra large amount, your personal troop recruitment by an extra large amount. Then they also have the ability to recruit a faction's officer and bring him into your fold, but it does not turn him into your friend. Third, they have this ability, which is like the Flying General, which increases your army's movement speed and also lowers the amount of morale loss when you're traveling. Then they have the ability to have 2 extra companions, not as strong as the heroic one, but it's still really good. Then they can also patrol and increase the public order and get food and gold. And then finally, they have this ability, which increases all training type of your personal army by a good chunk. Very useful ability. Then there's Bandit King. Well, Bandit King allows you to recruit, except instead of just your personal territory, you can spread out and recruit in different territories as well. It will lower your the city's morale by public order by a bit, but not that much, and it'll also increase your personal army size a bit. But the importance of this skill, once again, it allows you to go to different cities to recruit. Second, they have the ability to rob. So you can rob an extra chunk of food and money by sending an officer to a different location. It's depend on your might, because sometimes an enemy officer will stop you from robbing them and you'll go into a duel with them. You can send your underlings to do that as well, so you can get a lot of money doing this. And then there is request a raid. So you can cause bandits or foreign barbarians to suddenly appear in a city and raid it. So what this means is that a random chunk of 40,000 troops will randomly appear on the map, and then if they attack a city, they'll render it blank, allowing you to either take over the city or, well, just leave it blank for a little bit. So then they have also the ability to get three companions. They can also train all troop types by a good chunk, and they have the ability to go to an officer that belongs to a different faction and allow them to leave their faction and also become a companion, but not a friend. Oh, actually, you know what? I think companions can only be friends, but for some reason it doesn't say so. Maybe it's different, but I haven't yet tried them. Anyway, so again, these 3 classes, they eventually have to be switched to something else, but they will help you with establishing a faction if you need to start a faction or something. Again, if they take over a city, it becomes blank. If a requested bandit army takes over a city, it becomes blank, allowing you to freely take them whatever you please. And finally, the last class in the adventure tree is the assassin. This is completely different from any other class that you played in that you don't get help from anybody, and you only get these 3 commands that you basically use all the time. There is Assassination, which allows you to go and duel whichever officer you please and murder them. Then you have Training Your Might, which is all that you need, because might is the only thing that matters in dueling. It allows you to train your personal might by a good chunk. And then there's Preparation, which allows you to succeed in your assassination. So what happens when an assassination fails is that basically a guard shows up, you duel him, but your target escapes. So if your preparation is sound, you have a greater chance of success, and you can kill whoever you want whenever you please. Very useful for assassins only, of course. And well, the assassin tree also has their own personal victory condition, which is gained when you get 10,000 rumors. Each time you chop up someone, depending on the rank, you get a certain amount of rumors. So once you get 10,000, you get the assassin's ending. Or you could just not get the ending and you can continue as you please. But after playing the assassin, you don't really gain much. You don't get paid to kill people. No, you don't get paid to do anything. You just chop people up and then eventually you get the ending. It's a really disappointing class, and I hope that they do an update on it later so that it turns into the Assassin's Creed or something like that, and you know, we use gold or something as a victory condition instead of something stupid like rumor. And you can also use your friends to kill other people too, so you can actually turn into an assassination guild or something like that, which would be awesome, awesome. But they lose this, they lose this wonderful opportunity and turn you into a psychotic killer. But anyway, enough of this rambling. Let me go to the next skill tree now. Now let's talk about the minister classes. First, we have the able minister, and they have the ability to gain a massive amount of food and gold. I don't know if this is an activatable ability or not. We'll find out later. And then there's the ability for you to raise the rank of an officer within a district. So what this basically means is that it can turn an officer from a 8th class to a 7th class, or 7 to 6, and etc. So for example, like when Zhuge Liang appears in the year 207, of course he has no fame, so he will always start at the 9th class. So say you want him as a strategist. Well, strategist can only be employed as a 7th class, so you use this ability twice, and hopefully you can get him to become a strategist. Now, the one problem with this skill is that it activates based on a certain chance. So you have to also do this repeatedly if you want Zhuge Liang to become a 7th rank. Keep that in mind. Third, you have the ability to increase a district's gold and food income. So I guess the first ability allows you to get food and gold whenever you please, and this ability allows you to get additional income for your entire district. Okay, so one city, one district, and the city one you can use whenever you please. So it seems like the able minister is all about getting officers to places that they belong, and also increases your army's overall wealth. Usually an army has only one district, the ruler's district, but there are certain scenarios where they have two, or when you, the player, starts your own district as a marshal. Okay, so that's how it is. Very interesting. Now we have the corrupt minister. Now the corrupt minister allows them to siphon a large amount of city's gold. This is very useful. And then you can use this gold, you can deposit this gold back into the city if you were to take too much. So say for instance, oops, I accidentally all the city's gold, and now you can't build any more buildings, and the officers won't get paid, now they're angry. Oopsie daisy, well I better put that money right back into the ATM, and now nobody will notice! See? So this is all about moderation. Third, we have the ability to use your own personal gold to buy food and troops. Oh, this is a very powerful ability. And this is this ability basically allows you to spawn troops instantly. So say for instance, Cao Cao's forces is coming, and he has 50,000 troops, and you have only what, or maybe like 30,000, and you need troops. Well, you could gain personal troops with the general class and recruit, but even then they take time to recruit, so you can't gain it in an instant. With this, you can just buy troops in an instant, whenever you please, and all of a sudden you have, well, say 70,000 troops to crush Cao Cao and repel his invasion. Oh, but wait, oops, I don't have enough food. I better use the country's gold and, my own personal gold and buy more food, and then repel Cao Cao. So this is a very useful ability if you suddenly have a need for troops. And their fourth ability allows you to gain an increased income for a city, and also you'll gain an additional income for yourself as well. So basically put, you for some reason cause the city to gain extra income, and then you will pocket the extra money for yourself as well. Very powerful ability. And then the fifth ability that they have, they can bribe various generals and allow them to give you one special permission. So you can use a certain amount of gold to get a special permission. Very handy if you want to direct the course of a faction, but as you can see, that means that the corrupt minister is mainly for officer under a ruler. Next we have the tyrant class. This class allows you to control the country's vault. Now, I don't have to tell you how overpowered that is, because you can spread gold and food whenever you please as a ruler. So say all of a sudden, oh, I need 400k gold, you can just take your entire country's gold if you please and pocket them, and then you can retire as a millionaire if you wish. But of course, well, that's kind of stupid. I wouldn't do that, but you can gain a lot of gold this way. Of course, if you make a mistake, you can always deposit right back into the city. And then third, you have the ability to buy food and troops, but not as much as you could as a corrupt minister. Okay, I mean, that's fair, since, you know, you can get as much gold as you want. And then finally, you can go and sell a city's food and pocket the money yourself. That's actually pretty powerful, because usually what happens in a campaign is that you have an excess of food. Or, as a ruler, you have an excess of food, and you can just send them right over, and then you can get rid of that food and get money for yourself. So it seems like the Tyrant class is all about lining your own pocket, and all of a sudden spawning a lot of troops to deal with enemy invasions. Really powerful class, I have to say. I mean, they're both good, but one is for ruler and one is for follower. Next we have the Good Minister, the Good Diplomat, which allows you to increase a ruler's friendliness with another faction. So friendliness between two factions, very useful. And then they have this ability to promote an officer and give them EXP, which helps them raise a rank. So this isn't based on chance like the Able Minister is, but the Able Minister allows you to gain a rank instantly, whereas this only gives you EXP. Third, this allows two factions to cause a ceasefire. This is useful. And then they also have two factions to cause an alliance between the two. So basically you can pretty much direct where the war should be happening in a country. This could be very useful for personal use and for you want to preserve a faction for whatever reason. And then finally they have the ability to get a diplomacy increase. Oh, it's a big increase as well. Very interesting. Next we have the Evil Diplomat, which shares the same skill as Yuanshu's Dangtu Gao, which you've seen in the Yuanshu playthrough. Now this ability allows you to shorten two factions' alliance and ceasefire time. So if you want two factions to fight each other, well, you can use this. You can also promote an officer by giving them EXP. And then you have this ability, which allows you to start an alliance. So I hate Cao Cao a lot. I can start the anti-Cao Cao alliance. But there are restrictions. So it doesn't apply. The alliance does not apply to factions that are allied with each other already. So you'll need to shorten their alliance time. And it also doesn't affect factions that are outside of the reach for obvious reasons. So keep that in mind before you use the alliance command. Then finally, they also have a diplomacy increase, just not as big as the Good Diplomat. Alright, next class. Finally, let's talk about the strategist classes. First, we have the calculating strategists. They have the ability to increase their battle tactics by a huge chunk, much bigger than the other classes previously mentioned. And one thing I didn't mention about battle tactics is that each classes have their own set of battle tactics. I think like 2 or 3. So say for warrior classes, they have battle tactics that involves like their troop types or personal buffs. Say for instance steel cavalry, they can increase cavalry's attack and defense power by a certain amount. Whereas with strategists, it's usually stuff like traps, like rockfall or poison or something like that. So now you can increase your battle tactic scores instead of going to the battle, as I explained before, and this time it's the ultimate chunk, the biggest chunk. It makes sense, I mean they're the actual strategist classes. So you can probably gain a few levels with that and turn your traps into really lethal ones that can probably one-shot someone. Second, they have the ability to increase a city's defense by a big chunk. So, as I've explained before with the Steel Juggernaut class in General Tree, this allows you to hold out against an enemy attack until a reinforcements can be sent to back you up. So this is very handy dandy indeed. Third ability. This allows you to snatch an enemy's camp and bring it to your own faction. So usually when it comes to taking a camp, you usually destroy the camp and then you take over a territory, having an army step on it. Well, with this ability, it seems that you can just cause a camp to just go into your force immediately. This is very useful indeed. And you can also drag it to your force intact without having to destroy it, so you don't have to pay and wait 10 days for it to be built. Very handy ability. And then finally, you have the fourth ability. Ooh. Alright, so I'll call this ability Camp Master. And what this does is allows you to set up camp. It allows you to set up camp in less time than normally. And you can also increase the amount of battle power you have when you're currently camping. So if an enemy attacks your camp, you'll suddenly have a lot more power to deal with the enemy. So this is a mainly defensive ability, but it can also be used offensively if combined with the snatching of enemy camps. So this calculating strategy is all about defending and repairing. Very useful though. This is actually very powerful. I may have to try that out later. Second, we have the Cunning strategist. So they also have the ability to increase the amount of experience that you have with your battle tactics by a huge chunk. And they can also repair city, but only by a moderate amount, instead of as much as a calculating strategist. Okay, that's fair. Third, they have the ability to shorten the time you need to lower an officer's loyalty, and also increase the chance of it succeeding by a moderate amount. Okay, and the fourth ability... Oh, okay, this is powerful. Alright, so what this last ability does is that it allows you to basically go into a city and start spreading rumors. And what happens is that when you're inside a city, all the city's officers' loyalty will decrease. So I think it only affects enemies, hopefully. So when you go into an enemy city, you can embed yourself, and then you can just lower the loyalty. I don't know if it's based on time or it's an immediate decrease, but you can go into a city, and then you can just keep using this to lower the loyalty, eventually recruiting them and bringing them into your fold. So it seems like the Cunning strategist, rather than acting like a typical strategist, which they could if they wish with increasing battle tactics, they can also, or repairing, they can also embed themselves into enemy cities and cause them to lose officers. This is very powerful. I would also want to try that out later. Third strategist. I guess I'll call this one Oracle. The Oracle also has the same shared ability to increase battle tactics EXP by a big chunk. Second, so this allows you to increase the number of tactics that you can employ in the battlefield, and also increase the amount of starting command that you have in the battlefield. So usually say you start a battle with 3 command, and the enemy starts with 3 command. Well, all of a sudden you have like 10 command, whereas the enemy will have 3 command, giving you an early boost. This is actually a pretty useful ability, especially since you can have extra battle tactics on the field as well. And then second, you have the same ability to lower a officer's loyalty to another faction, but this time the increase in chance is only a little bit, but you can still shorten the time. I think though I will leave that kind of job to Cunning strategists, because embedding yourself in the enemy city and recruiting their officers like crazy is kind of a big deal. The fourth ability... Oh wow. Okay, so you know how with battle tactics, when you employ a battle tactics, you can see an area of effect that happens, and anything in that area effect will be affected by a battle tactics? Well, what this ability does is increase that AoE even further. I don't know how much, but once I play a tactician playthrough, I will tell you how big that increase is. It seems like it's probably a big deal though, considering the fact that it's their unique ability, so I can't wait to try out Oracle class myself. And finally, we have the famous strategist. So let's see. Alright, I'll just call it famous strategist for now. So famous strategist, you can invite an officer to join your force. And it seems like there's a requirement of friendliness, but the requirement is only a little bit for you to invite an officer to your faction. So what this means is, I think you can use this rather than the recruitment option to recruit an officer, so you can save yourself the mission mission note. You know how those mission notes that you see in the bottom left are going on the screen? So you can save yourself that to recruit someone. It could also be an ability to recruit someone with a 100% chance. It's just that you need to fulfill the friendliness requirement, the rapid requirement between the two of you. It could also depend on if you're friends or not. But anyway, so that is a recruitment tactic. Second, an inverse of the Cunning strategist ability allows you to increase the loyalty of all the officers that you have in that same city as you. So if you want to maintain an officer's loyalty and all the officers around him sit in that city. Let's see. So this ability allows you to discover an officer that you haven't met before and become familiar with them. And there's also a chance where you can recruit them. Oh, very interesting. It not only does that, but it also drags an undiscovered officer to you. Oh, this is very powerful. Oh my god, dude, this is ridiculous. So, say, Zhuge Liang has not been discovered yet. He's currently in Shangyang. Well, if you use this ability, all of a sudden, Zhuge Liang will be sent to you. To, say, you're in Beiping, all the way in, like, North Korea. You can send him all the way there, he'll appear, and you'll become familiar with him, and you can also have a specific chance to recruit him. So, famous tactician is all about gathering people. Very interesting. And this... Oh, what is this? Okay, I get it now. Alright, so this is a command that you can use to increase officers' loyalty within a city. Whereas this one allows you to increase an officer within a city's loyalty each season. So, double buff. Very handy. I'm guessing this one then is an ability to lower loyalty of all officers within a city rather than by season. Ah, interesting. So that's a famous tactician. Now let's see. What would I call this tactician? I guess I'll call it advisor because it seems like that's what it is. So advisor, it also allows you to bring an officer to your fold, except it's an increased chance, so it appears, than the famous tactician. Second, it allows you to increase 2 officers within a city's loyalty and also cause them to become friends. Oh no, it doesn't cause them to become friends. Okay, what it does, it turns them to become in awe with you. So basically with this ability you can cause 2 officers to increase loyalty, and then you can cause them to become in awe with you so you can become friends with them. Very handy. And then there is this ability which you have to go to a specific location to go and find an undiscovered officer and then become familiar with them. A useful ability, but not as crazy as the other one where you can just drag them over to you. Oh. And this final ability allows you to ensure that your suggestion is taken during a country's meeting. So basically, you can determine a country's course in a meeting whichever way you please as an advisor. Okay, so that's pretty much all the classes in the game. And one thing I didn't talk about earlier also is how to advance to a different class. So as you can see, when you scroll over a class you haven't advanced yet, you'll see the requirements to become a different class. So say I want to become a fierce officer to a fierce general, I need to win 20 battles. I've already become a 6th officer, but I need to win 20 battles in order to become a fierce general. So like that, and then you just keep going on. Okay, one last thing I need to talk about before we go, and that is the ruler command. So each ruler has their own ruler command, depending on their current class. So say Yuan Shao is currently at his maximum class. He's currently the head of a noble family. That is his final form. So his ability allows his officers to increase in EXP by a big chunk, And he can also increase population by a little bit. And when he tries to capture a camp, he can do extra damage. It's a pretty good buff, actually. Whereas, say, myself, since I'm not at my final form, I have this Elite Warrior buff, which allows me to raise and have an increase of public order when I do patrols, and I can also gain a small population increase. I think Lü Bu, when he reaches Battle God, he has this ability which causes an entire faction to gain extra movement speed on the map and lowered morale loss when they move on the map, which is extremely powerful. Let's see. And then there's Li Zhi. He's a tyrant, and as a tyrant, which is a final form, he gains an extra amount of income, and he gets to pay his officers less. Oh, wow, that's actually really powerful. I don't think his officers mind to get paid less as well, so this is powerful. And he does a moderate amount of damage to camps when he tries to capture it, but he suffers a debuff to his maximum public order. Though I think the benefits far outweighs the debuff. So Tyrant is actually pretty damn powerful. So we've seen that. I don't know if these ruler commands affect just rulers or if district marshals also gain this ability, but it would appear that it's probably just rulers. But once I become a marshal, I will confirm this. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for the class system in Romancer 3 Kingdoms 13. And I thank you all for watching. Until next time.